"Do not touch," the warning said, but the human broke every rule to save her. The battlefield was silent in a way that felt wrong. Hours earlier, the place had been filled with explosions, screams, and burning metal. Now, only smoke drifted through the shattered trees, curling like ghosts in the cold night air. Ash covered the ground like gray snow, and every step left a dark print behind. Through this ruined land walked a single human soldier. His name was Adrian Vale, a corporal who had survived too many missions and lost too many friends. His uniform was ripped, his helmet cracked, and dust covered his face. But his eyes were sharp, scanning everything, ready for danger. He had been separated from his squad after a blast threw him into the thick fog. Since then, he had been moving alone, guided only by instinct and stubborn will. The war between humans and the alien race called the Zirathai had lasted longer than anyone expected. The forest he walked through was once green and alive, but now it was a broken skeleton of trees and burnt soil. Adrian knew the Zirathai well, masters of traps, silent ambushes, and cruel warnings left in the dark. So when the night suddenly grew too quiet, he slowed his pace. The fog twisted around him like a living creature. The air was warm from recent fire. The smell of metal and blood clung to everything. Adrian held his rifle low, not because he felt safe, but because exhaustion made his arms heavy. Then he saw something hanging from a twisted tree ahead. At first, he thought it was wreckage, maybe a piece of armor caught in the branches. But as he walked closer, the shape became clearer. A head, arms, a small body. He froze. Someone was hanging by a rough rope tied around the neck. The figure was tiny, fragile, and definitely not human. Pale skin with a faint violet shine, thin limbs, and soft glowing marks across the cheeks. A young Zirathai, maybe a teenager, maybe even younger. Around the alien's neck was a wooden sign with crude symbols burned into it. Adrian wiped the dust from the surface and read the translated human letters carved beneath. "Do not aid, fate by law." His stomach turned. This wasn't a trap. It was an execution. The Zirathai were strict about their own rules. Anyone who broke their traditions was punished publicly. But this one looked hardly old enough to fight, let alone commit a crime. Adrian stepped back, scanning the dark forest. No patrols, no voices, nothing but wind brushing broken branches. He knew the human orders clearly. Never interfere with alien justice. Do not touch their condemned. Breaking that order meant court-martial, maybe even death. He should walk away. But he couldn't. Something held him in place. Anger, pity, or maybe just the last piece of humanity left inside him. The alien's head hung low. Her small hands were tied. Her feet barely touched the ground. Whoever punished her had wanted her to suffer. The wind shifted, moving the sign slowly. Its creak echoed through the broken forest. Adrian took one slow step forward. His training screamed stop. His heart whispered go. "I shouldn't be doing this," he muttered under his breath, reaching up. When his gloved fingers touched her skin, he expected cold silence. Instead, he heard a faint breath. His eyes widened. She was alive. Adrian looked around again, desperate, terrified, conflicted. The fog hid the world, but somewhere in the distance, he heard the hum of engines, patrols coming. He had only seconds. Orders or compassion, law or conscience. He gritted his teeth, pulled out his combat knife, and sliced the rope. The small alien girl fell forward, and Adrian caught her in his arms. She was unbelievably light, like holding a snowflake. Her pulse flickered weakly against his fingertips. He whispered, "Stay alive. I've got you." Far behind him, the sign swung in the cold wind, repeating its warning to no one. "Do not aid." But Adrian already had, and there was no turning back now. Adrian moved quickly through the fog, carrying the small alien girl against his chest. Her body was limp, her breath weak, but she was alive. That single fact made every step heavier with fear and purpose. He kept low, weaving between shattered trees and broken metal remains. The engines he heard earlier were closer now, deep, steady hums that meant Zirathai patrol ships were sweeping the battlefield. If they found him holding one of their condemned, they wouldn't ask questions. They would kill them both. The fog thinned, revealing scorched ground and scattered debris. Adrian stopped behind a fallen trunk and checked the girl again. Her faint violet glow pulsed slowly under her skin, almost like a heartbeat of light. It was beautiful and dangerous. Glow made her easy to see. He tore a strip from his undershirt and wrapped it around her arms to hide the light. "Stay with me," he whispered, even though he was sure she didn't understand. Her fingers twitched weakly, brushing his hand as if responding. His radio crackled suddenly. "Corporal Vale, report. Your beacon shows irregular movement." Adrian froze. Command had picked up his trail. He ducked behind ruins and answered softly, still regrouping. "Heavy fog. Lost visual. Static." Then a cold reply. "Return to unit perimeter. And do not engage with alien casualties. That is a direct order." He stared at the little girl in his arms. He had already broken that order. Turning off the radio wasn't an option. It would expose suspicion. So he clicked once to confirm and began moving again, hoping distance and fog would hide him. The girl stirred suddenly, whispering a soft sound, almost musical. Her eyelids lifted, revealing glowing silver-purple eyes filled with pain and confusion. She trembled, frightened, trying to pull away from him. Hey, it's okay," Adrian whispered. "I'm not your enemy." Her glow flared for a moment, then faded. She tried speaking again, but only broken breaths came out. The rope marks around her neck were deep, bruised. Her arms were scraped and raw. Whoever punished her wanted everyone to see her suffer. Adrian clenched his jaw. Suddenly, her small hand lifted shakily. A faint spark of violet energy slipped from her fingers, drifting like a tiny star. It floated to a broken metal plate on the ground. The plate flashed briefly, glowing with a symbol he didn't recognize. He stared. Was she warning him? A second later, a drone whirred above. Adrian dropped flat, shielding her body with his own. The drone's spotlight scanned the area, cutting through fog like a blade. He held his breath, feeling her quiet heartbeat against his vest. The drone paused directly above them. Her hand glowed again, weak, trembling, but purposeful. A soft ripple of light spread out, bending around them like a small shield. The drone's scanner flickered, glitched, then moved on. Adrian exhaled shakily. "You saved us," he whispered. Her eyes half opened. She didn't speak, but her look said everything. Fear, trust, exhaustion. They couldn't stay in the open anymore. He spotted a collapsed bunker ahead, half buried under roots and cracked stone. It wasn't much, but it offered more cover than the forest. Adrian lifted her again and ran. Inside, the bunker smelled of rust and burnt wires. He set the girl gently on a pile of old canvas and checked her injuries more closely. Her breathing was shallow. Her pulse fluttered like a candle flame about to die. He felt helpless. A human soldier wasn't trained to treat alien biology. "Come on, hold on," he whispered. Her hand glowed again, resting lightly on his arm. Warmth spread through him. Not painful, not bright, just a gentle reassurance. He understood. She wasn't asking him for promises. She was telling him she wanted to live. Outside, he heard distant shouts. Human voices. His squad was sweeping the area. He leaned close and said softly, "I won't let them take you, no matter what happens." The girl blinked slowly, a soft violet tear running down her cheek. Adrian tightened his grip on his rifle, his heart pounding. Saving her had been the first step. Protecting her from his own people would be the real war. And it was about to begin. The bunker walls groaned softly in the cold night wind. Dust fell from the ceiling each time the ground trembled from distant patrol vehicles. Adrian stood near the entrance, breathing slowly, listening for every sound. He had been in dangerous places before, but never like this. This time, he wasn't protecting his squad. He was protecting a child from two armies. The small alien girl lay on the canvas where he had placed her. Her violet glow had faded to a faint shimmer, like a dying ember. She watched him with half-open eyes, confusion and fear swirling inside them. She didn't know who he was. She didn't know why he had cut her down. But she didn't seem afraid of him. Not anymore. Adrian knelt beside her. "I need to know your name," he said softly. Her fingers twitched. A weak exhale escaped her lips, and a tiny whisper followed. "Sarah." The name was fragile, almost broken, but it was enough. "Sarah," Adrian repeated gently. "You're safe for now." Her eyes flickered in response. She lifted her hand slightly, and a faint thread of light formed between her fingers. It was weak and unstable, but it wasn't random. She was trying to communicate. The light flickered like a heartbeat. One pulse. Pause. Two pulses. Pause. He didn't understand the pattern, but he felt its meaning, a silent plea. She was afraid of her own people finding her. Adrian leaned closer. Did they do this to you? Your own. Syrah's eyes softened, and her head dropped slightly. Shame? Pain? He couldn't tell. But he understood enough to make his anger rise again. A soft beep from his radio broke the silence. Corporal Vale, your signal is stationary. Are you injured? Adrian froze. A second voice joined the first. Cold, suspicious, familiar. Adrian, it's Sergeant Hale. Don't make this difficult. Just come out. Hale. His former squad leader. A man who followed rules like they were carved into stone. A man who did not forgive disobedience. Adrian whispered to Syrah, stay quiet, then crawled toward the entrance. Through a crack in the broken wall, he saw shadows moving through the fog. 3 human soldiers sweeping the area, weapons ready. They were close enough that he could hear their footsteps crunching on sand and ash. Hale's voice echoed again. You know the rules. You know the punishment for helping condemned aliens. Don't throw your life away. Adrian's pulse hammered in his ears. He pressed his back against the wall, breathing slow and silent. If they found Syrah, there wouldn't be a negotiation. They would kill her immediately and then arrest him for treason. He crawled back to her. She was shaking, her small fingers glowing brighter each time fear spiked through her. Adrian whispered, we have to move. Now. He lifted her gently, wrapping her in a torn blanket to hide her glow. She clung weakly to his chest, her breathing fast and shallow. Her trust cut deeper than any order ever had. Another set of footsteps approached the entrance, heavier, determined. Hale. Adrian could picture him. Tall, stern, jaw clenched, eyes sharp enough to cut stone. Hale was loyal, brave, and stubborn. But he also believed mercy was weakness. Adrian adjusted his grip on Syrah and crept toward the back of the bunker, where a collapsed vent created a narrow exit. He squeezed through, feeling rust tear at his sleeves. The night air hit him like a slap. He crouched low, scanning the area. The forest behind them had thinned into a rocky stretch with tall, jagged boulders, perfect for cover. Syrah tugged weakly at his vest. Her glowing eyes shifted toward the right. Danger. Adrian turned just in time to see a patrol drone rising behind the rocks. He sprinted. The drone's scanner beeped sharply, detecting movement. Red lights flashed. The first energy shot cut past his shoulder, burning a hole in the ground. Syrah pressed her palm against his chest, her hand glowing brighter. A wave of violet energy rippled outward, distorting the air like heat. The next shot hit the wave and bent away, striking a tree instead. Adrian nearly stumbled. You shielded us? Syrah didn't answer. Her glow dimmed again, the energy draining her strength. She slumped forward, gripping him tightly as her eyes fluttered. Adrian held her close, heart racing. The bunker behind them burst open as Hale and the soldiers advanced. They had only seconds. He whispered into Syrah's hair, don't give up. I'll get you out of this. He didn't know how. He just knew he would. And somewhere deep inside, he felt something shift. The moment a soldier stopped following orders and started following what was right. Adrian didn't stop running until the blasts behind him faded into distant echoes. The rocky path ahead twisted between tall stone pillars, jagged like broken teeth. The moon cast long shadows that looked alive, moving with every gust of wind. Syrah clung weakly to his chest, her glow barely visible under the blanket. His breath came in sharp, painful bursts. His legs burned. Sweat mixed with dust across his face. But he didn't slow down. If he stopped, even for a second, they would be caught. Behind him, a voice shouted through the fog. Adrian, you can't hide forever. Hale. He sounded angry, betrayed, determined. Adrian ducked behind a thick boulder, pressing Syrah gently against it as he listened. Boots scraped across stone. Metal gear clinked. The patrol was getting closer. He whispered to her, just a little longer. Stay with me. Syrah's eyes opened slightly. Her glow flickered in a slow pulse, matching her breaths. She raised her hand weakly and touched his chin, as if trying to understand him, or thank him, or warn him. Her touch was warm, much warmer than a moment ago. A soft shimmer spread from her fingers, moving up Adrian's neck like a whisper of energy. He nearly pulled back, but the warmth wasn't painful. It was comforting, almost protective. Then he heard it. A second patrol, approaching from the left. They were surrounding him. Adrian's mind raced. He had 2 choices, fight and die, or find a new path. He searched the rocks until he spotted a narrow gap between two pillars, a tight crawl space, barely large enough for him. Perfect for hiding. Impossible for soldiers in heavy armor to follow quickly. He adjusted Sira carefully. Hold on. He crouched, squeezed into the gap, and pulled her in with him. The rock scraped his shoulders painfully as he dragged himself through. The air grew colder and darker the deeper he went. He could hear his own breathing bounce off the stone walls, loud and shaky. Halfway through, Sira stirred again. She looked frightened, not of him, but of something else. Her small hand glowed brighter, trembling. Adrian followed her gaze. Footsteps echoed through the rocks. Hale's patrol was moving fast. Adrian pushed himself harder, scraping hands and knees on jagged stone until he finally emerged on the other side of the rock formation. The space opened into a small ravine with a trickling stream of water reflecting moonlight. It was quiet, hidden, safe, only for a moment. Adrian gently laid Sira beside the stream. Breathe, he whispered. She dipped her fingers into the water. The liquid glowed around her touch, reacting to her energy. A soft violet light rippled across the surface, reflecting patterns like gentle waves. Adrian watched in awe as some of her strength returned. Her glow brightened slightly, her breathing steadied. Water was helping her heal, but the peace didn't last. A silhouette appeared at the top of the ravine, Hale. His rifle aimed downward, his posture rigid. Corporal Vale, Hale said, his voice echoing. Step away from the alien. Adrian stood protectively in front of Sira. She's not a threat. She's a kid, Hale. That kid is a condemned Zirathai, Hale snapped. You know what they're capable of. She hasn't hurt anyone, Adrian said. Her own people left her to die. Hale's jaw tightened. He wasn't listening. He was choosing orders over humanity. I'm bringing you in, Hale said coldly. Both of you. Adrian felt his stomach drop. He could fight Hale, but not the two soldiers behind him. Not while protecting Sira. He needed time, seconds, even. Sira slowly pushed herself upright. Her breaths were shaky, her body trembling, but her eyes were focused. She whispered something, gentle, musical, and placed her hand against the wet rock beside her. The stone vibrated softly. Light spread from her palm, creating thin, glowing lines across the surface. Adrian stared. Sira, what are you? The ground rumbled. The ravine walls shimmered with violet light. A low hum filled the air, rising like a distant chorus. A pulse of energy rippled outward, quiet, controlled, but strong enough to shake Hale and the soldiers off balance. Adrian, get down, Sira whispered, her voice clearer than before. He dropped beside her just as the energy surged through the ravine. Rocks shifted, dust rose, and a thin fog of shimmering light spread across the ground. Hale shouted orders, firing blindly into the glowing mist. But the shots curved away, bending like beams of light hitting water. Sira's energy wasn't an attack. It was a barrier, a shield of living light. She saved them again. Adrian stared at her in disbelief, heart pounding with a mix of fear and admiration. She looked at him, exhausted but determined, and whispered, "Help, protect both." Adrian nodded slowly. "I will. I promise." Above the ravine, Hale regrouped, furious and shaken. Below, the human soldier and the small alien girl prepared for the next danger. Together, bound by trust neither of them fully understood. The hunt wasn't over. It was only changing. And so were they. The glowing mist slowly faded from the ravine, leaving behind shaking stones and drifting dust. Adrian crouched beside Sira, his chest rising and falling fast, his ears ringing from the blast of her energy. The shield she had created was incredible, silent, powerful, unlike anything he had ever seen. But Sira was barely holding herself up. Her hands trembled. Her glow flickered like a candle fighting wind. She tried to stand, but her legs buckled beneath her. Adrian caught her quickly, helping her lean against the rock. "You're pushing yourself too hard," he whispered. She shook her head weakly. "No danger." Her voice was small, cracked, but more understandable than before. She was healing slowly, just enough to speak simple words. Adrian tightened his grip on his rifle as he looked up the ravine wall. Hale and his two soldiers were regrouping. He could hear them talking, angry whispers, frustrated orders. Hale wasn't giving up. In fact, the failed attack only made him more determined. Adrian lifted Syrah again and carried her deeper into the ravine. The rocky walls narrowed into a twisting path, scattered with old roots and patches of wet moss. It felt like walking through the inside of a giant stone ribcage. "Where do we go?" he murmured. Syrah pointed with a shaking finger toward a tall rock slab at the end of the ravine. A thin crack split the rock, glowing faintly with soft violet light, only visible because of her presence. "A path, hidden from humans," she whispered. Adrian approached the crack and noticed something strange. The stone vibrated gently, reacting to Syrah's glow. When he pressed his hand against it, the rock felt warm, almost alive. Was this Sirathi technology? Or something older? "I hope you're right," Adrian said and squeezed through the narrow opening. Inside, a cavern opened up, wide, echoing, filled with pale crystals that grew from the walls like frozen lightning. The air was cool, humming softly with energy. The crystals glowed faintly when Syrah passed them, lighting the way. She touched one crystal gently, and it flickered brighter, reflecting patterns across the ceiling. "This place safe?" she whispered. "My people don't look here." Adrian set her down on a smooth patch of stone. Without warning, she pressed both hands to a cluster of small glowing crystals. They responded with a rhythmic pulse, slower, calmer. A healing rhythm. Adrian watched as the light spread into her palms and up her arms, stabilizing her breath, strengthening her pulse. Her face relaxed slightly, the tightness fading. "Is this healing you?" he asked quietly. She nodded. "Old sanctuary. For young ones." Adrian looked around again. The cavern felt sacred, peaceful, like stepping into the heart of another world. He sat beside her, letting her recover. But peace never lasted. The ground shook lightly from footsteps above. Hale and the soldiers were climbing into the ravine, searching every corner. Adrian could hear Hale shouting, "He has to be down here. Find the crack in the wall." Adrian's stomach tightened. They were getting close. Syrah placed her glowing hand on his arm. "Not alone," she whispered. He met her eyes. Stronger now. Clearer. Determined. "You helped me. I help you now." She closed her eyes and focused. The crystals around her brightened, vibrating with a new energy. A low hum filled the cavern, growing louder like a chorus of distant voices. "What are you doing?" Adrian asked, worried. She opened her eyes slowly. "Warning, barrier. Hide us." The cavern darkened suddenly. All crystals went silent. All glow vanished. Even Syrah dimmed completely, like a flame snuffed out. Adrian reached for her quickly. "Syrah?" She touched his hand lightly. "Shoo. Only hiding." Then he felt it. A strange wave passing through him, cold but gentle, almost like air shifting inside stone. His heartbeat slowed. His breathing grew softer. His body felt muted. The cavern was hiding them. Outside, Hale's boots stopped right beside the crack. Adrian held his breath. Hale peered inside, shining a flashlight into the darkness. Nothing glowed. Nothing moved. Nothing breathed loudly enough to hear. Hale cursed and stepped back. "Damn it. The trail ends here." Spread out. Their footsteps moved away slowly. Only once the echoes vanished did the cavern crystals flicker alive again. Adrian exhaled deeply. "Syrah, that was incredible." She leaned against him, exhausted again. "Used too much, but safe for now." Adrian placed his hand over hers. "We'll get you somewhere better. We'll find help. I'm not giving up." Syrah looked up at him, her eyes reflecting his determination. "Together," she whispered. The human soldier and the little alien girl rested a moment longer in the glowing sanctuary. Two runaways hiding from a world that wanted both of them dead. But outside, Hale's search intensified. And far above the mountains, a new danger awakened. The sanctuary's glow began to fade as the night deepened. Adrian felt the tension returning like a weight pressing on his chest. They had escaped Hale this time, but they wouldn't stay lucky forever. Syrah sat quietly beside him, her small hands resting on the crystal floor. She looked stronger than before, but still fragile. Each breath she took carried a tiny pulse of light through her veins. Her healing had begun, but it was slow. Adrian leaned against the cavern wall and listened. No footsteps yet, no distant echoes, but the air above them vibrated faintly, like a low hum spreading through the stone. "Syrah," he whispered, "something's moving outside." Her eyes widened slightly. "More soldiers, but not yours." "My people." Adrian froze. "Your people? Are they looking for you?" To help or to punish? Sira lowered her head. Punish. A cold wave washed through Adrian's body. So both sides were after them now. Humans wanted to capture him. Zirathai wanted to finish what they started, her execution. There was no safe choice left. Sira placed her hand on a crystal, and a soft ripple of light spread across the cavern. Images flickered within the stone, shapes resembling Zirathai armor, ships flying low, scanning the forest above. Adrian stared. They're already here? Yes, she whispered. They follow the mark, the sign they put on me. Adrian remembered the rope and the carved wooden board. It wasn't just a warning. It was a beacon. He clenched his jaw. We need to move. Now. Sira tried to stand, but her knees shook. Adrian steadied her, wrapping her in the blanket again and lifting her gently. She leaned against him, trusting him completely. They made their way toward the back of the cavern, where a narrow tunnel extended into darkness. The crystals glowed softly as Sira passed, lighting the path like guiding stars. The tunnel twisted deeper underground. The air grew colder, wetter. Adrian's boots splashed through small pools of water. Above them, distant echoes shook the ceiling. Ships landing, rocks shifting, soldiers moving. After what felt like forever, the tunnel opened into a wide chamber. A massive stone archway stood in the center, a natural formation shaped like a doorway. Strange markings covered its surface, glowing faintly. Sira reached out and touched one of the symbols. It pulsed warmly under her fingers. This leads outside the valley, she whispered. A hidden way. Old path, forgotten. Adrian let out a breath of relief. Good. If we can make it through. A sudden blast rocked the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling. A shockwave of heat rushed through the tunnel behind them. Adrian spun around. Human soldiers. Hale's flashlight cut through the darkness as he stepped forward, eyes fierce, rifle raised. End of the line, Adrian, he growled. You're done running. Two more soldiers flanked him, weapons pointed straight at Sira. Adrian shifted, shielding her with his body. She's a child, Adrian said. You know this isn't right. She's an enemy, Hale snapped. A condemned one. Move aside. No. The single word echoed through the chamber like a strike of lightning. Hale's jaw tightened. He raised his weapon. Don't make me do this. Sira's hand trembled against Adrian's back. Adrian, go. He tightened his grip on his rifle. Not without you. For a tense second, no one moved. The crystals around them flickered, first softly, then burning brighter, reacting to Sira's fear. The entire chamber began to hum. Hale noticed too late. Sira lifted her hand. Light burst from her palm, not violent, not destructive. It flowed like water, wrapping around Adrian first, then spreading outward like a protective veil. The soldiers fired instinctively, but their bullets bent away, curving like metal hitting a magnet. Hale shouted, "What is this?" Sira's voice was soft but steady. Protection. The glow intensified, spreading around the stone archway. The symbols flared bright, matching her pulse. Adrian felt the ground tremble beneath his boots. The archway opened, not like a door, more like a tier, a shift, a doorway of light, swirling gently, a passage to somewhere else. Sira's strength faltered. Adrian felt her slumping. He held her tighter. Hale lowered his weapon, shock on his face. Adrian, don't step through that. You don't know where it leads. Adrian stepped toward the glowing doorway anyway. He looked Hale dead in the eyes. You taught me to protect those who can't protect themselves. I'm doing that now. Adrian. Too late. With Sira in his arms, the human soldier stepped through the ancient archway of light, and the world behind them shattered into silence. The chamber, the soldiers, Hale's outstretched hand, all vanished, replaced by a blinding white glow and the feeling of weightlessness. Adrian held Sira tightly as they drifted into the unknown, carried by a force older than both their species. The chase was over. Something far bigger had just begun. Light swallowed everything. Adrian felt as if the world had turned into a rushing river, pulling him through currents he couldn't see. Sira clung to his chest, her tiny fingers gripping his jacket tightly. Her glow flickered, weak but steady, his only anchor in the blinding white. Then, slowly, the brightness faded. Adrian's boots touched solid ground. He blinked as the world came into focus. They stood inside a massive chamber carved from smooth stone, nothing like the harsh ravine or the crystal tunnels. Tall pillars rose to a ceiling lost in shadows. Soft blue light glowed from floating orbs that drifted through the air like living stars. A wide circular platform stretched beneath their feet, covered in symbols that pulsed gently in rhythm with Syrah's glow. "Where are we?" Adrian whispered. Syrah took a shaky breath. "Ancient place, older than my people. A refuge for the lost." Her voice was stronger now, her glow brighter. The sanctuary had followed them here. But before Adrian could ask more, a deep hum echoed through the chamber. Shapes appeared in the distance. Shadows stepping out from behind the pillars, tall, elegant figures with glowing patterns across their skin. Zirathai warriors. Adrian tightened his grip on Syrah protectively. "Get behind me." But Syrah gently pulled herself forward and whispered, "No, these ones, different." One of the Zirathai stepped closer. His armor was dark silver, marked with ancient symbols. His voice was deep, resonant. "Child Syrah, you survived the punishment." Syrah flinched. Adrian stepped forward. "If you're here to hurt her." The warrior raised a hand. "Human soldier, silence." Adrian braced himself, ready to fight even without a chance. But the warrior didn't raise a weapon. Instead, he bowed his head. "You protected her," he said. "Against your own kind. Against our hunters. Against fate." Adrian blinked, stunned. Another Zirathai, taller and older, stepped forward. Her eyes were gentle, glowing a soft blue. "She carries the old light," she said, looking at Syrah. "The ability to awaken the ancient gates." The punishment was wrong, forced by those who fear her gift. Syrah trembled. "They wanted me gone." "Yes," the elder Zirathai replied quietly. "Those in power saw your gift as a threat." Adrian felt anger rising in his chest. "She's just a kid. You can't blame her for something she didn't choose." The elder turned to him. "And yet you risked death to save someone not your own. Few humans would do this. Even fewer Zirathai." Syrah took Adrian's hand, her glow warming his skin. "He saw me, not enemy." The elder nodded. "Because of this, the ancient sanctuary recognized your bond. It allowed both of you to enter. No one without trust may pass through the gate." Adrian swallowed hard. "So what now? Will you take her?" The elder exchanged a long look with the warrior beside her. "Her fate has changed," she said. "Your actions have broken the punishment mark. She is free." Relief washed through Adrian so fast he nearly fell to his knees. But the elder wasn't finished. "You, human soldier," she continued slowly, "have also crossed a line between our worlds. Your own people will hunt you. Some of ours will not forgive you. By saving one child, you have challenged centuries of fear." Adrian exhaled slowly. "I didn't do this for politics. I did it because it was right." The chamber hummed softly, as if responding. The elder smiled faintly. "That is why the sanctuary accepts you." Syrah squeezed his hand tighter. "Stay with me." The warrior stepped closer. "There is a path for you," he said. "A path no human has walked. You may stay here under protection, among those who honor what you did, or return through the gate and face whatever awaits you." Adrian looked down at Syrah. Her eyes were full of hope, fear, trust. He felt the weight of two worlds pressing on him, but also the warmth of her small hand in his. He had saved her. She had saved him. They were bound now, not by blood, not by species, but by courage shared in the darkest nights. Adrian lifted his chin. "Tell me what staying means." The warrior stepped back, light swirling around him. "It means becoming part of a new beginning," he said. "It means standing between our worlds, so the old hatred may finally break." Syrah leaned her head against Adrian's chest. "Together," she whispered. The ancient gate behind them pulsed once, glowing like a heartbeat of the world. Adrian looked at it, then at the Zirathai, then at Syrah. His decision was clear. He wasn't going back. Not when going back meant losing everything he had fought for. He held Syrah close and faced the elder. "I'll stay." The chamber filled with blinding white light, warm, powerful, alive. The sanctuary accepted his choice. And somewhere far above, in forests and deserts torn by war, the winds shifted, carrying the first hint of change, born from one human's defiance and one small alien's hope. The war was not over, but something new had begun, and the galaxy would remember it.